Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimrandasya Jnanasalakaya Saksharimritam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namah. So today we will discuss the verses 18 till 23 of the first chapter, Questions of the Sages. So we will start with reading text 18. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskatyai Dasatarane. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namane. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 18. Atakyahi ediman avatara kata subha lilla vida tata sairam ishvarasyatma mayaya. O wise Sutta, please narrate to us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations. Such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by his internal powers. So these sages of Namisaranya, in their concern for the fallen position of today's people in Kali Yuga, they have asked already 4 questions. The first question was, what is the ultimate good for all people? The second was, what is the essence of all the scriptures? Because people in this age, they have no time to go through all the scriptures. They don't have the intelligence to understand even what's the purpose of the Vedas. The Sumanda Matayo, Sumanda means they are slow, they are misguided. Therefore, we need a method of self-realization which is easy. Then, yesterday we discussed the second 2 questions. The second 2 questions are also for the benefit of the people, but they are also for the benefit of the devotees. They are inquiring about the Lord and his incarnations, especially the Purusha avatars who are in charge of the creation and the maintenance and destruction. So, but above all, these sages, they are very eager to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. We can hear here in the first verse, they are worshipping Sutta Goswami. So today we will finish the 4th section of the first chapter of the first canto. Yesterday at the end we heard that the sages were glorifying the holy name, the holy name being more powerful than even fear personified. Fear personified runs away even if you unconsciously chant. So they glorify the devotees. They say the devotees are more purifying than the Ganges. Simply by their glance, even a moment of association can give us the desire to have Krishna. So this is the power of the pure devotees. So we must worship the Guru. This is one of the main themes of this chapter. how to reciprocate with the spiritual master and how the spiritual master will reciprocate. So we will learn more about that in the next chapter. Also, you studied the first 3 verses of this chapter. I will go over it at the end of the class and identify some themes. But in order to understand the Srimad Bhagavatam, we must take shelter of Srila Prabhupada, of course, for us, Shukadev Goswami, Sutta Goswami, and try to get the spirit that these sages have. And the spirit means the eagerness to hear that they have. And the 5th question, according to the previous acharyas, is about the Lila incarnations. The Lila incarnations of Lord Sri Krishna. Krishna performed such wonderful adventures. If you would make a movie of Krishna's life, you are making a movie of Krishna's life, then it would be very extraordinary. As a young child, he lifted a mountain with his little finger of his left hand. Who can do this? Marrying 16,108 wives is unheard of in the history in the West. So this is Krishna. So at the end of the 3rd chapter, it will say that these incarnations, they are just like waves in the ocean. And then we will hear Krishna's tu Paravam Svayam. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We will hear much more about this in the 3rd chapter. Now text 19. 19. Vayam tuna vitirpyama Uttamasloka vikrame Yatshim vatam rasagyanam Svadu svadu pade pade. We never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the Personality of Godhead, who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationships with him relish hearing of his pastimes at every moment. So why were the sages not tired? That's a question to you. Why are they not tired? So please, you can write in the chat 1 sentence or 1 word, or that why were these sages not tired? Why, when we listen in the Bhagavatam, many times we fall asleep, we get tired. But they are not tired. So what's the reason? That they are eager to hear. They are liberated. Maybe some of them, yes. They are associated with the Lord himself. Transcendental realizations. They cultivate laudyam, greed for listening to Katha. Cultivated laudyam. The essence we will see is that they had taste. Taste. That's the main point. That they were under the internal potency of the Lord. Internal potency. So in the purpose, Srila Prabhupada explains between the spiritual and mundane topics. And what's the difference? Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that he writes, mundane news is static whereas transcendental news is dynamic, inasmuch as the spirit is dynamic, and the matter is static. So those who have developed a taste for understanding the transcendental subject matter are never tired of hearing. So Prabhupada says it here. Yeah. They are never tired because they have taste to hear such narrations. So one is quickly satiated by mundane activities, but no one is satiated by transcendental or devotional activities. So why are we getting tired when hearing the Bhagavatam? That Srila Prabhupada uses the word dull-witted, cow-dung brains. That's an interesting word Srila Prabhupada used. That it means we have other agendas, other priorities. We have taste for bhava roga, enjoying dead things in this world. Bhava roga is also in Harinam Sintamani. And due to our attachments, our material attachments. So Vidura, he had the same eagerness as the sages. And Maharaj Pariksit, he had the same eagerness. So there's a difference between the spiritual and the material vibration that we will hear in the fourth canto. I selected the first from the fourth canto to illustrate this. Canto 4, chapter 30, text 20. 4:30:20. Navatridhyaya yajyo pamatad brahmavadibi namayanti nasoshanti nanreshanti yatogata. Always engaged in activities of devotional service, devotees feel increasingly fresh and new in all their activities. The all-knower, the super soul within the heart of the devotee makes everything increasingly fresh. This is known as the Brahman position by the advocates of the Absolute Truth. In such a liberated state, which is called Brahma Bhuta, one is never bewildered, nor does one lament, nor one does unnecessarily become jubilant. It is due to the Brahma Bhuta situation. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, a devotee is inspired by the super soul within the heart to advance in devotional service in a variety of ways. The devotees do not feel hackneyed or stereotyped, nor does he feel that he is in a stagnant position. In the material world, if one engages in chanting a material name, he will feel tired after chanting a few times. However, one chant the Hare Krishna mantra all day and night and never feel tired. As chanting is increased, it will come out new and fresh. Srila Jiva Goswami explains that the super soul is in everyone's heart, but in the devotee's heart he is revealing himself as ever increasingly new. Being inspired by him, the devotee experiences increased transcendental bliss in the execution of his devotional service. So this is what happiness means when we come in contact with this internal potency, this spiritual potency. If we are not in contact with that spiritual potency, then one becomes bored, it becomes stagnant, then you are spiritually ill, spiritually sick. Narayani, Mother Narayani shared her experiences. She said, I have a little experience about seeing things in a new light. For 2 months I was living in Goa, South India, at the beach. I was swimming every day. And there's no one there, just some dogs at the beach. There were 3 different gangs of dogs, he said. 3 different gangs of dogs. They were fighting with each other and sometimes fighting with us. But other than that, there was nobody. It was an isolated place. I was studying Srimad Bhagavatam there, the universal form, and I was meditating on the sunrise. Before sunrise, there is this beautiful red. The clear sky was full of red, and as I thought, this is the color of Krishna's eyes. Around his eyes is reddish, the sunrise. Then you bathe in the ocean and you think the ocean is the waste. When you bathe in the ocean, then you can get rid of all your stomach illnesses, it is said. So I got cured while meditating on the universal form. So I was thinking, yes, this is Krishna. You can see Krishna everywhere. This is the purpose of the universal form. When you see Srimad Bhagavatam, you don't see things as you used to see. It looks fresh, it looks new. And the sages saw it like this, ever fresh, ever new. They were eager to hear. So we can take Srila Prabhupada as an example. At 2 a.m. in the morning, he would wake up and start translating Srimad Bhagavatam. That it was so exciting to translate the books, he said. He said, I'm eager to read because I did not write them. Srila Prabhupada would get up at 2 p.m., he translated, and then he would chant his rounds. Then he would go for a morning walk, constantly talking during the morning walk. Then he would give class, Guru Puja. Well, then he would give the class, after Guru Puja and then breakfast. And he would be constantly talking. That would be his time for management from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. He would answer all his letters while still talking and chanting. After his rest, he would go out in the evening and preach. He would never be tired of chanting. He wrote in a letter in 1973. The instructions given in my books is my personal instruction. Read the books and you will find it. Let's see what Srila Prabhupada's instructions are in this purport. Here, 3-4 lines down, that it says, for example, anyone may read Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam repeatedly throughout his whole life and yet find in them new light of information. So the first thing is Srila Prabhupada wants us to read his books. So we know that Krishna, when he was at the ashram of Sandipani Muni, Lord Krishna got a benediction that his words would be always fresh. So we have the words of Krishna, the activities of Krishna, and he got his Guru's blessings. Therefore Krishna is ever fresh, Krishna's message is ever fresh. But what are the sages so eager to hear about? Text 20. Kritavan kil karmani saharamena keshava atimartyani bhagavan kuta kapatamanusa. Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, along with Balaram, played like a human being, and so masked he performed many superhuman acts. So this is what they want to hear about. Krishna and Balaram. The purpose Srila Prabhupada is very heavy. It comes very heavy down on imitation incarnations. So in the second sentence, he writes, the theory that a man becomes God by dint of penance and austerity is very much rampant nowadays, especially in India, is saying. Since Lord Ram, Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu be detected and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were detected by the sages and saints to be the personality of Godhead as indicated in the revealed scriptures, many unscrupulous men have created their own incarnations. So that this for Mother Narayani, she said there is one incarnation, and she said we won't mention any names. But on his deathbed, he was dying and he said, I'm Ram. And they accepted that he is Ram, Krishna, on his deathbed. That is how he became an incarnation. So Srila Prabhupada writes further. So he writes, into text 20. This process of concocting an incarnation of God has become an ordinary business, especially in Bengal. Any popular personality with a few traits of mystic powers will display some feat of jugglery and easily become an incarnation of Godhead by popular vote. So in the 5th canto we will hear about 8 mystic powers, and there are 10 more. 8 major and 10 minor are described in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. But if you read the 5th canto, there are 93 demoniac powers in the lower planets. There are 93 powers which Mayadanava teaches, and he trains all the demons up. This is also there. And Srila Prabhupada says that some of these so-called incarnations have these powers and they misuse them. They use them according to their guru, Mayadanava. Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita was asking Krishna, please tell me about your universal form. Show me your universal form. Tell me about your divine opulences. He asked this because he wants to make a point about incarnations. Who is in incarnations? Now the sages are doing the same thing as Arjuna. You please tell us, give us a list of all these incarnations. They wanted to have it written down in the scriptures so that in the future generations can refer to Srimad Bhagavatam and check the list. Give me the list. The list is there. So, are you on the list of incarnations? Is your name there? I'm sorry, we don't accept that. So this is the point. They are asking all this for the benefit of the people. That of course they want also to hear about the incarnations. Arjuna also wanted to hear about incarnations, so that he had something to think about. The sages also want to think about Krishna and his incarnations. They are happy to hear every little detail of Krishna's life and Krishna's incarnations. Here Srila Prabhupada gives a very nice example about this. We know mothers, that mothers will know, when they have small babies, they can talk for hours about their baby. They say, yesterday our Nandan had the first tooth. And you know what he said? He said, glu. He said, yeah. And they go on like this, Prabhupada said once, yeah. And he walks like this, and he dropped this toy, and he moved his hand like that, and these mothers can go for hours about their kid. And then another friend is sitting there and thinking, when is she going to stop? The mother can do this because she has love for the child. Every little detail the child does, she is so attached. So every little detail of the incarnation of Krishna, these sages want to know. How does he create? How does he appear as Nrsimhadev? They want to hear every detail. They are very attached and they want to hear every little detail, and this is what will make them happy. They love Krishna. They have attachment for Krishna. They have attraction. Verse 21. In verse 21, we will learn how attached these sages are. We'll read text 21. Kalim agatam achnaya kshetrismim vaishnave vayam ashina dirya satrena katayam saksana hare. Knowing well that the age of Kali has already begun, we are assembled here in this holy place to hear at great length the transcendental message of Godhead, and in this way perform sacrifice. So 1000 years of sacrifice. Who is prepared to do that here? Are we prepared? 1000 years of sacrifice? To sit 1000 years for sacrifice? Or even 3 hours maybe? 3 hours may be already too much. It's a very difficult task, right? That they are going to perform sacrifice. And why? For us. For us is doing sacrifice. And we will get the remnants. Srimad Bhagavatam. Just the essence, because we don't have much time. Let's read the purport near the end. That is 21. Yeah. So, by the example of these sages, one should learn that regular hearing and recitation of the Bhagavatam is the only way for self-realization. So this is real life. If we hear the stories here in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we see the qualities of the devotees. We want to develop these qualities. Yes, I want to be like this. How do I become like this? Narada Muni's life is so wonderful because he got the lowest birth. He doesn't know who his father is. No idea who his father is. And he became such an elevated devotee, a Vaishnava. So there is hope for us. We can also become an elevated devotee. Second chapter we will hear about the process, and then later we will hear a practical demonstration by the life of Narada Muni, that it will be explained to us how it happens in real life. So we are in the third verse of this chapter. Pipata Bhagavatam Rasam Alayam. Pibata, relishing Srimad Bhagavatam, relishing the rasa, that's the juice, that alayam, until that leads us to liberation. So the sages are inviting us. Drink this nectar. The sages are eager to drink this nectar. And we should understand the difference between spiritual nectar and mundane nectar. So there is a limit to how much we can drink in the material world. But we can drink Srimad Bhagavatam as much as we like. We don't have to worry about overdoing it. So, and after we discuss, we drink and we preach. So last paragraph of the purport. So Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached this system of Bhagavad Dharma, and he recommended that all those who were born in India should take the responsibility of broadcasting the messages of Lord Sri Krishna. Primarily the message of Bhagavad Gita. And when one is well established in the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, he can take up the study of Srimad Bhagavatam for further enlightenment in self-realization. So, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted us to preach. Srila Prabhupada tried in India to convince the people, and no one would listen. Then he went to America and got some people, and then he went back to India. And then the people started listening. Interesting. So therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Yare dekatare kai Krishna upadash. Amara ajnana go hanatare dash. Instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Sri Krishna as they are given in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land. Everyone you meet, you give them Krishna Upadesh, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. And when you do this, then what is the benefit? Lord Chaitanya gives a benediction. What is that benediction? Lord Chaitanya says in another place in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, if you preach, you will never lose my association. Or else I meet you again one day. So this is the benediction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is another personal instruction by Srila Prabhupada. Personal instructions. So, the Kurma Brahman wanted to leave his family and travel with Lord Chaitanya, because Lord Chaitanya stayed at the house of the Kurma Brahman in South India during the entire Chaturmasya. And then the Chaturmasya was over, he was going to travel again. And the Kurma Brahman said, yes, let me go with you. That I became too attached to you. But Lord Chaitanya said, no, stay with your family. And Yara Dekatare Krishna, Tarikai Krishna Upadesh. Whoever you meet, you tell them about Lord Krishna. And when you follow this instruction, then your family life at home will not disturb you. And at the end we will meet again, and you never will lose my company. This is the benediction of Lord Chaitanya. We always quote the first verse, but the second is even better. That's the benediction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If you preach, then you remain in your position. Don't change your position. And he quoted his first Bhagavatam 10:14:3. Jnane prayasam pradasya namantaiva. So everyone can preach, whatever position you are in. It's the basis of Srila Prabhupada's movement. He didn't care what we were, who we were. He sent us out to preach. That was his mood. That was his mission. But now, next verse will explain who is the captain of the ship. Text 22. Tam tvam na sadarshito datra dushtaram nishtitir shatam kalim sattva aram pumsam karnadara ivarnavam. We think that we have met your goodness by the will of providence, just so that we may accept you as captain of the ship for those who desire to cross the different ocean of Kali, which deteriorates all the good qualities of a human being. That is see Sutta as the captain of the ship. So in the purpose, Srila Prabhupada talks about the people of this age, how busy the people of this age are. So 7 lines down, he writes, out of madness, they frankly say that there is no need for self-realization. That because they do not realize that this brief life is but a moment on our great journey towards self-realization. So how is this life just a moment in a journey for self-realization? If you compare our life to the life of Brahma, so how long is Brahma's day? 1000 Tivya Yugas. So 1000 Tivya Yugas, he lives, that's for him 24 hours. And he lives 100 years like that. It's 311 trillion years for his lifetime. 311 years. So compared to Lord Brahma, how long is our life? So next question is, next to Vishnu, how long is Lord Brahma's life? Lord Mahavishnu breathes in and out, and Lord Brahma's life is finished. One creation comes and goes. So in the purport of Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada writes that Lord Brahma's life is like a flash of lightning. When you are young, you think, I have a very long life. I don't have to worry. Actually, we have a very short life. Therefore, we have to use it for its proper use. Unfortunately, people do not believe in the next life. They don't see the need for self-realization. Srila Prabhupada quotes always this one professor in Russia, Professor Kotovsky. And Srila Prabhupada went to Russia with Shyamasundar Prabhu. that he met his professor. Was a professor who was specialized Indologist in the Vedic scriptures. That and Srila Prabhupada was telling him is about reincarnation. And Professor Potofsky replied, Swamiji, after death everything is finished. That was his reply. So he was an Indologist, but he did not believe in reincarnation. But he met Prabhupada. That last year I was in the Ukraine, because I'm preaching also in the Ukraine. I was there for 2 months, traveling to all cities. Just at a certain moment I come in this city, Lviv, that's near to the Polish side. And there a devotee was driving me to the program. And this devotee said to me, I'm the grandson of Professor Potofsky. He was a devotee. Very interesting. He became a devotee. The mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So, Professor Potofsky said, everything is finished, therefore eat, drink, marry and enjoy. So Srila Prabhupada explains that the contemporary civilization is taking shelter of so many mediums, so many other things than Krishna consciousness. So it said here that the whole system of education is geared to sense gratification. And if a learned man thinks it over, he sees that the children of this age are being intentionally sent to the slaughterhouses of so-called education. So-called education. Why is Srila Prabhupada condemning modern education? He says slaughterhouses. It's heavy. In Shisha Upanishad is said that this education is like a jewel on the head of a serpent. People think that to become educated is a solution to my problems, but they are not taking the proper boat. And they are not following the proper captain. This verse speaks about the proper boat to cross over the ocean of Kali. In modern civilization, they have so many proper boats they use. Their materialistic boats are science, technology, politics, new age philosophies, that atheism, sport, entertainment. These are just some of the shelters that people can find in Kali Yuga. There is a song that anything other than Nityananda's lotus feet are false shelters. Srila Prabhupada speaks often about material science, that like it is a post-dated check, he said. Taking shelter of science is like trying to catch the tail of a dog. Later in Srimad Bhagavatam it said, those who are taking shelter of modern politicians are boarding stone boats. The sages foresaw this and they had a plan. They had a ship to give to the people. Srila Prabhupada at the end of the purport he explains, learned men therefore must be cautious of this age, and if they at all want to cross over the dangerous ocean of Kali, they must follow the footsteps of the sages of Naimisaranya and accept Sri Sutta Goswami or his bona fide representative as the captain of the ship. The ship is a message of Lord Sri Krishna in the shape of Bhagavad Gita or the Srimad Bhagavatam. So by hearing this Bhagavatam, it's like going on a ship, is said here. And the captain is the Guru, who will guide us on this journey. Of course, after hearing the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, we must also preach. Srila Prabhupada said, you can glorify your Guru, but real glorification is when you preach and face the opposition, he said. Preach and face the opposition. That is what Srila Prabhupada wanted. To learn the philosophy and preach against all opposition. The last verse now is the last question of the sages. The 6th verse. The 6th question, text 23. Prohi Yogeshware Krishne Brahmanye Dharma Varmani Swamkastam Arduno Pete Dharmakam Sharanam Gata. Since Sri Krishna, the Absolute Truth, the Master of all mystic power, has departed for his own abode, please tell us to whom the religious principles have now gone for shelter. So the sages are feeling separation from Krishna. Krishna is gone. When should we go for shelter? What should we do? They are feeling the oppressive influence of Kali. Kali appeared the very day that Lord Krishna left the planet, before he could not appear. We will hear later that Maharaj Pariksit also, although he was a Mahabhagavat. Mahabhagavat is one who can rule the world. This Mahabhagavat is the leader of all the Brahmins and all ordinary devotees. That Maharaj Pariksit, he was a Mahabhagavat, representative of Krishna, and he could control Kali, but even then Kali slipped in. So the sages were asking, where is our shelter now? Has Krishna left us? When he left us, did he leave us unprotected? Unprotected in our attempts for spiritual life? So that's the 6th and last question. And the answer is given in the last verse of the 3rd chapter, 1343. Krishna Svadhamapagate Dharma Jnana Dibisaha Kalanastadrishamesha Puranarka Dunodita. This Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali can get light from this Purana. So those who are very fortunate can see how Krishna has appeared in this age of Srimad Bhagavatam. So if you are interested to get out of the darkness of Kali Yuga, then you get out by the light of Srimad Bhagavatam. So in this, I just want to mention a few themes that I saw in this 1st chapter. Verses 5 to 8, the sages were worshipping their Guru, Sutta Goswami. There are many verses, and they express their eagerness to hear. So another theme is Paradharma. This theme has been introduced in the 1st chapter here, Paradharma. So we have heard in the 1st chapter, 2nd verse, about Kaitava Dharma. Kaitava Dharma, Paradharma. Paradharma will be explained is 1 to 6 in the next chapter. Savaipum Saparodharmo Yato Bhaktiradoxia Ahait Kapatiyata Ayatma Shubhashidati. So, and we will hear about Paradharma in the next chapter, in chapter 5 especially. We will hear about the life of Narada Muni and his relationship with the sages, guru-disciple relationship. That also what we found as themes in this chapter is also association with devotees, reciprocation from Krishna. And Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This will be strongly emphasized in the third chapter. But it has been introduced in the first verse, Shanmadhyas Yatam Vyatitaratas. So this chapter is like an introduction, and in the second chapter the theme will be expanded on Paradharma, especially the verses 6 to 10, and then we will hear about the process of developing love for Krishna in the next chapter. So, we are done with the first chapter. We can now have a pause of 10 minutes. Hare Krishna, we are back. Please let me know if you have any questions, points of discussions. Please raise your hand or write into the in the chat. I put some communications in the chat section. Please read them. Thank you. And, so, Modrambika, please speak.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. I was thinking, could you still repeat the story about the education, which is like a jewel on the forehead of serpent? I think I missed the point.
Yes. This is mentioned also in Shi Upanishad, that these dangerous serpents, they have like jewels on their head. You can also see that in the pastime of Kaliya, 16th chapter of the 10th canto. Kaliya have many hoods and has these jewels on the head everywhere. It looks good, that but it's most dangerous. That so, and that's modern education. It looks good from the outside, but it's very dangerous, because what is the basis of modern education? It's based, there is an underlying principle. It's not written anywhere, but it is an underlying principle. It's based on you are this body. And everything they do is based on that principle. So it's like you have a sum. I say 1 plus 1 is 3. It's wrong, right? But then I say 3 plus 1 is 4, and 4 and 2 is 6. The rest is correct, but the beginning is faulty. What will the result be okay now? The same. It's education. And Srila Prabhupada says slaughterhouses. And he says also, he explains it in Bhagavad Gita. He says there are 4 kinds who do not surrender to me. The Muda, the Narotam, the Asura, and then you have the Mayaya Paritagyan. Those who speak high philosophy, but it's not related to Krishna. The Mayavad philosophy, so many, that it's dangerous. It's so dangerous. Lord Chaitanya said, don't hear it, you will be condemned. But it looks good, scholars and so on. That I remember I observed that. I got a PhD in the study of religion at the University of Wales, and I met with many scholars of Bhagavad Gita and the Vedic scriptures, and they could quote Bhagavad Gita and so on. That scholarly, very elevated, but they could not understand that they are not a body. None of them. And that is, cheating. Kaita Avadarva, cheating religion. That just material motivations, but looks very educated, and it's misleading. Today everyone takes science as their god, and all these academics are considered the high priests. But what do they know? Nothing. Some speculation. Their theories changes from today to tomorrow. So that's this misleading people, Maya Paritagyan, and they are dangerous, like jewels on the head. That is what I remember from the purports and many lectures of Prabhupada. Does that help, Mother Ambika? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yes, very much. Thank you.
Okay, good. Good. Vaidyanatha Prabhu, I'm listening. Please guide us. What's your comment?
Yeah, about this term slaughterhouse. Srila Prabhupada makes many comments about modern education throughout his books, which are all negative. He says in Bhagavatam later, he will say that all this can be used in Krishna's service to some extent, but not in itself. And of course, in Ishopanishad, we have this term Atmaha, killers of the soul.
Yeah.
So what I understood, this term, Srila Prabhupada only uses this specific term once in all his books, slaughterhouses of so-called education. But sometimes devotees or people jump on this, it seems your leader is against education. But of course, he's in favor of spiritual education. Now, this term is a little drastic, and Srila Prabhupada only uses it once. Yeah, and many people complaining about this, but only once in the books.
Yes,
I think one needs to know what it's because slaughter, the killer of the soul, it means the killer of the soul. But if you read it like this, people don't know this term, killer of the soul. That by modern education, the spirit soul will be forgotten. It's almost like even most people don't even believe there is a soul.
we will hear about that more in the 4th chapter, I think. That or even the 5th chapter. There it is explained mundane literatures are like a place of pilgrimage for crows. It's all crows, they go there where garbage is. And spiritual literature is the place where the swans go, the Paramahamsas, who know the difference between matter and spirit. When I think about these terms, slaughterhouses, but what is the result of this education? The result of this education is you stay in this world rotting birth after birth after birth. They are slaughtering the soul, covering the soul. And that's violence. And Srila Prabhupada feels that compassion, and therefore each expression is so strong. Be careful with that's what I felt about it. What Srila Prabhupada wanted to communicate. Good point.
Because
Yes.
some people that talked to me about this, they said, Srila Prabhupada wants us to believe that if we send our children to school, we'll send them to the slaughterhouse. That's not what Srila Prabhupada meant, really. That they come out, slaughtered. You pick them up as beefsteak or something.
Yeah, right. Right, this point, because Srila Prabhupada wanted us to have our own Gurukulas. Gurukula, and we know that in the 80s, 70s, 80s, so many things went wrong with these Gurukulas. And now the devotees are afraid to organize it, the Gurukul, because of what happened. But still we have to do it. That was a point in another classmate, and I think that's our mission also, to provide education. But yes, what can we do? We must send our kids to school, but at the same time we have to give them spiritual education. And that's important. Both should be there. That's also a point made in the Upanishad. We must cultivate ignorance and knowledge at the same time. So ignorance is material knowledge. It's also necessary. You must know the difference, otherwise you will become entrapped. So that's also a point, but we need to organize spiritual education at the same time to balance this out. What do you think, Vaidyanatha?
Yes, Prabhupada made this statement, but he himself went to Scottish Church College, and he didn't only have a basic education, reading, writing. No, he also learned Sanskrit, he studied economics and philosophy. So, but at the end, when the examination certificates were going to be given out, he resigned. He didn't want to accept the certificate because he was in Mahatma Gandhi's movement. He didn't want to have the laurels from the British government, like this. So, but he himself, actually, he did a lot of studies, and this is why he was able to translate those books. He learned Sanskrit. And he also had a good common knowledge of politics, economy, society, and so on. You can see in his purports. He has a lot of very deep knowledge, detailed knowledge about modern society. Even quotes political events like this. So, first he goes through such an education, then he says the places of education are all slaughterhouses. What do you say?
Yeah, I remember also Ramanuja in the Sri Sampradaya. He learned Mayavadi philosophy from a Mayavadi guru with the purpose to defeat it, and he defeated his guru. He learned it with that purpose. So I think when I did my PhD, I'm understanding what's going on in the academic world, and that allows me now to preach accordingly. And to defeat the strong points they are making. So, because some Bhaktivedanta students asked me, he wanted to do a PhD and he wanted to speak with me. Should I do it? What's the use? And so on. That if I look what did I get from it, I got a lot of discipline. Discipline in studying. I know how to write papers. that I know how to guide Bhaktivedanta students now in writing their thesis and their essays and give appropriate guidance. So you get some skills from it and discipline. That's also. But at the same time, if it's not necessary for your service, it's not really necessary. That's my opinion. That that point of education is a good, yeah, it's good to think about this thing. So, Shyamananda Prabhu, you had a question, please?
It was to the same topic, since also for me this statement about the slaughterhouses, the schools are slaughterhouses. This is very relevant for me because I'm a teacher. I'm a music teacher, but the kids come to me from the normal school, and I see that like from the very tender age, there is first actually the teachers. They are good-hearted. They try to cultivate the good qualities of the students, but then very soon the plan they have to observe makes them overload the children, not only with bad knowledge but just overload them so that they get really suppressed more and more. They get discouraged more and more in developing even good material qualities. So maybe because like the picture of the slaughterhouse is that innocent people are sent there, and I think children are the emblem of innocence. So maybe you can elaborate a little bit more also on that.
Yeah, I would say this is something. While you are talking, I was remembering that there was an ex Gurukuli from he was born in he was from America, but he was sent to the Gurukul in Mayapur from 2-3 years old, and he went to till 18 years. He was there. Then he went back to America, and he had no diplomas or certificates or whatever, and he was trying to get a job, and he was putting his solicitation in. He sent his solicitation for a job to as a security guard, and they asked him, "Well, what's your education? What's your qualification?" And he said, "I went to to the school in India that and I I learned to develop good character." He said, "Good character and discipline." And on the basis of that, he got a job. Interesting how Krishna guides this Gurukula kids. So I think that's most important in life is your character, that the values that you have, and that they don't teach in these schools. The teachers have themselves no discipline, have themselves not good character. Externally it looks nice, and that's a problem. That is what we really need in life. All these diplomas that, and I heard Prahlad Nanda Maharaj many times saying in India, yes, they get a PhD and then they have to beg for a job, and they say, go away, go away. Yeah, where's my certificate? Go away. They can't get a job. Everyone has a PhD. So what's the use? But good character, that's very important. That will make them more happy in life, and it will make their relations with others better. Yeah, I think that is what's lacking in modern education, I think. Shyamananda Prabhu, does that make sense? Thank you. No, no. Pratik Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you so much. Please accept my humble obeisance. I had a question in the verse number 21, what you read from the purport. The last line said that one who are born in India should take the responsibility of broadcasting the message of Lord Shri Krishna, primarily the message of Bhagavad Gita. And when one is well established in the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, he can take up the study of Srimad Bhagavatam for further enlightenment in self-realization.
Yep.
Here it is said that one is well established. So does there a point come for sadhaka, especially when one is like, what does Prabhupada mean by saying well established? Is it that applied all the teachings, or it is just that understood it theoretically? So here it is not exactly.
Yeah. And when one is well established in the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, that means that one must have the basic, needs to have understood the basic spiritual techniques explained in the Bhagavad Gita. That one must understand who we are, who Krishna is, beginning of the 4th chapter. That one must know what devotional service is the means, karma yoga. That so one must know the different levels of the absolute truth. Brahma Buddha Prashanatma is Brahman, 1855, and then Ishvara Babhutnam Richayana Tishtati, Paramatma, and yes, Manmana Bhav Matbhaktamachimam Namaskar, that's Bhagavan realization. So one must know these different realizations that and so be established in the basic teachings of Bhagavad Gita. We are a spirit soul, not a body. We have to tolerate the body. That so all this, unless one understands the need to develop one's relationship with Krishna based on this knowledge, then the Bhagavatam will not make much sense. That you must, because the Bhagavad Gita explains who Krishna is, Am Sarvasya Prabhavu, Mat Sarvam Pravartate. It explains who Krishna is. And that, and the Bhagavatam is about Krishna. Here we get the details, how Krishna deals with his devotees, and it helps us, the Abhideya, to develop this relationship. That we hear many histories in the Bhagavatam of devotees who became purified in many ways, and by that we can understand the deeper sense or the practical side of developing our relationship with Krishna, and that culminates in the 10th canto. That so yes, first we need to understand or to establish our relationship with Krishna, and then we can go to the next level. Establish our relationship with Krishna is 3 basic aspects, and they are explained in Bhagavad Gita. Who Krishna is, who we are, and what our relationship is. And that relationship is devotional service. That's surrender. That's our relationship. We need to understand these points. And once we get that we may not know the we may not know the philosophy in detail and remember everything, but this basic should be there, and that's established. And then in the Bhagavatam you get so much information, and you will see Srila Prabhupada referring again and again to Bhagavad Gita. And then you will start to understand Bhagavad Gita more detailed. But then he refers to that, but you have already read it before, so you know. And then you start to see the deeper meanings. So then you will start to understand more deeply the Srimad Bhagavatam. But I advise everyone, I'm doing that every morning. I chant my rounds, and then I read a chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Sanskrit and translation. Every day a different chapter. Only the second and the 18th chapter I do half, because these are big chapters. So every 20 days I'm going to Bhagavad Gita, and I never stop that. And it's good for all of us to do that. Then when we are studying the Bhagavatam, we are sure not to forget Bhagavad Gita and see the connection. Because Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna. The Bhagavatam is about Krishna. But there is a relationship. Without the basics, you cannot get a higher understanding. Does that help, Bhakta Pratik? Yeah.
Yes, Maharaj. Just assurance that it is theoretical knowledge that Prabhupada is talking about here, not realization. Like we don't need to have any realization. If we have the theoretical understanding that who we are and what all you spoke about, we can start the study of Srimad Bhagavatam.
The realization you need to study the Bhagavatam is having a good sadhana and chanting Hare Krishna. And have read Bhagavad Gita. Yes, that's basic. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mother Loka Pavani, please.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. I wanted to share something because of the discussion that you had about education being like the schools and educational institutions being the slaughterhouses for people in general. I just wanted to share my personal experience because I also studied. I studied law, and I also saw how actually, because law is also about the morals, like a moral character, and like it's a moral pillar of the society. But if that is not what it's supposed to be, then even this law and even the persons, for instance, who are working at the court, they do not have this character and they do not lead the society in the right direction. And some people said like how Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was a judge, but it's not even like to compare it with the situation today, because he was a judge in Jagannath Puri, as I understood. You correct me if I'm wrong. We were talking about it today in the lecture. And while he was actually performing his duties, he was applying the Vedic principles. And if you read his biography, everyone can see that there. So in that sense, because these educational institutions, they just give you the means for sense gratification. In that sense, they are false and there is nothing tangible there. It's like a decoration on a dead body, like some things that Srila Prabhupada said that. And through reading Srimad Bhagavatam, because I was a trainee at the court, and I was reading Srimad Bhagavatam then because I had time to read it. So all these realizations like came, like the difference between this like modern education and what Srila Prabhupada said. So sometimes we might want to see the bigger picture behind this, and sometimes Srila Prabhupada uses these words, but there is a reason for it. And also education as such is not wrong, but we should know like what we should use it for. And that's what I wanted to comment. And my question for you would be like, why sometimes, I mean, I also read it in the Srimad Bhagavatam and in the Vedas, I mean, Shastras, it is said that knowledge can be also an obstacle to devotional service. So maybe you can, like, intelligence and knowledge as such. With one is very intelligent and very knowledgeable, it can be like impediment. But can you say something about that? I would like to know.
Yeah, we will hear in the next chapter Jnanatya Suvarahya, knowledge and detachment are byproducts of devotional service. And that's interesting. These are results, but this is about realizations. By studying the Bhagavatam, you will get a higher taste at one side, and at the other side, you will understand the futility of this material world. It's all, everything one does for the body, it's for nothing, because the body disappears at the end. So by devotional service, one gets that realization from within the heart. And that is the real knowledge, that's realized knowledge. And realized attachment. This theoretical knowledge can help us to understand the difference between spirit and soul, for example. But it will not help us to live as a spirit soul. That's devotional service. So through devotional service, you get the realization of the attachment and realized knowledge. And that's much more important. And then when you have this realization, and you used one word what is very important, is the big picture. Then you start to see the big picture. I'm a spirit soul going from one body to another. And nothing is mine, nothing is for my enjoyment. I feel satisfied by serving Krishna. And you see the bigger picture. You see all these relationships, it's all temporary, it will go. That's Vaidyanatha Prabhu is elderly. I'm already 60, I'm still in the youth of old age. But I can tell you, all what 50 years ago, all the situations that I had, all the people that I know, it's all gone. And if you have performed devotional service, you learn from that. Easy to let things go. And that's knowledge and attachment by seeing the bigger picture. And that comes from the practice of devotional service. So that's what I could comment on your very nice points you have made. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So, Nilamani Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranams. Maharaj, I wanted to just follow up on the question I asked yesterday that we said we would discuss today regarding how we interpret the verses in this section to distinguish between the two questions of Purusha avatars and Leela avatars and how we drive that point.
Yeah. So we have this, we mentioned that before during our presentation. So in one verse, which verse was it? Moment, text.
Like 17 and 18.
With 17, yeah. So transcendental acts are magnificent and gracious, and great sages like Narada sing of them. Therefore, speakers, we are eager to hear about adventures to perform his various incarnations. And the other verse was, that was
18.
18.
18.
Yeah, please narrate us the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Godhead's multi-incarnations. Such auspicious adventures and pastimes of the Lord, the Supreme Controller, are performed by his internal powers. So the 18th verse they want to hear about the Lila avatars, the transcendental pastimes in many incarnations, Lila avatars. That, and in 17, his transcendental acts are magnificent and gracious, and great sages like Narada sing of them. Please speak to us who are eager to hear about the adventures performed in his different incarnations. That so here our acharyas, they conclude that this is more that they want to hear about the Purusha avatars. That and because I read this last time, 18, and Bhujan Prabhu mentions that 18, okay, yeah, it's 17. Coming here. Yeah. So that's what I said in the lecture. According to Bhujan Prabhu and Acharyas he has studied, the question refers to the Purusha incarnations for text 17. This question refers to the Purusha incarnations. Out of many incarnations, there are 6 prominent: the Purusha avatars, Lila avatars, and so on. Yes. So it's according to previous acharyas that, and I think I've somewhere, because I read which acharya that said. But anyway, that I sent you also. Moment, I must have here it. I can post it again in the chat. Just a moment. 6 questions. This is from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. That yeah, he describes it a bit different. I posted again in the chat because we must say that different acharyas
It's coming back.
yeah, okay. There was a I've been disconnected here.
You're on mute, Maharaj. You're on mute.
I'm unmuted here.
You're muted. We can't hear you.
No, I'm unmuted now.
Yes, yes,
Should be good.
yes.
So I'm putting this in the chat. So this is from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And it says 17, 18 are about the stories of the avatars. And that, 4 describe the pastimes of Krishna who has all avatars within him. And describe the stories of the avatars. So that's another vision by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So there is some disagreement about that. But yeah, both are of course the description in the 13th chapter starts with the Purusha avatars. Because it starts with the Purusha avatars, we can say that it refers to 17. But yes, different acharyas presented in different ways. And that's all right. But, okay, let's end with Vaidhyanath Prabhu. Please, Vaidhyanath Prabhu.
Yes, another point about fake incarnations concerning verse 20 and Srila Prabhupada's purport there. That there are Bengal, especially in Bengal, there are so many new incarnations, and actually these incarnations are export goods of India. You sometimes meet these people who are disciples of so-called incarnations, and what they say, well, my guru is God, just like Lord Chaitanya is God. They say that, and we explain that Lord Chaitanya is God in a different way than their guru, because Lord Chaitanya is Swayam Purusha. He is the Supreme Lord himself, who comes down from the spiritual world as he is, which is also explained in Bhagavad Gita. And they say, what they say is that the impersonal Brahman sometimes manifests on earth, and this is why, and they say the impersonal Brahman manifested in my guru, and he is God. So it's a complete different concept of God, that he is a personification, temporary personification of impersonal Brahman. A different Mayavadi philosophy is behind it. Of course, that is condemned by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Mudamam nabijanati, the fools deride me when I descend in my human form, both 9:11 and 7:24. Krishna says, those are fools. This doesn't happen, that the impersonal Brahman comes down as God. This is an erroneous philosophy.
Yes, sure. Brahmana pratishtanam. Brahman depend on me, Krishna says, and in the 7th chapter says, nothing can excel me. So Krishna and Avajanti Mamadi Mansamtam Nashritam, they deride me, my human, they think I'm a human, manifested by the material energy. But Krishna's it says in the 4th chapter already, I'm Ajya, I'm born, I manifest by my own eternal energy. So he explains all these things. That, but yeah, by jugglery of words, these impersonalists, they get rid of it. They degrade Krishna as a manifestation of the material energy, which is very offensive. Okay, Ajahn Prabhu, maybe.
Krishna also says that those who think that I was impersonal before, but now have accepted person, they are also misled.
Yeah, it is amazing. He says it directly there, but the Mayavadis, they have another translation for this verse. By word jugglery, giving it an indirect meaning. That, yeah. So he says it very clearly. And that's the direct and correct meaning. Thank you. Ajahn Prabhu? Ajahn Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So I'm just trying to look further into this. Yes, Maharaj. I'm trying to just read through a little more on difference between verse 17 and 18. And I'm seeing that the last line of the verse of 17 says, Leelaya Dadha Kalaha. Kala means again parts of incarnations, parts and that might, when you say Purusha avatar, that could refer to that because they're Kala.
Yeah.
They're portions and portions of the main incarnation, Lila avatars. And in the next verse, here we see
Lila.
Ishvara Atmayaya. Atma is himself, personal in personal expansions. So Prabhupada says internal powers. And then, yeah, so that's the only difference actually between two. Might refers to personal.
Yeah, it's surely based on on the Sanskrit that our previous Acharya has made this distinction. A good point. Thank you. Very nice. Good. We will end here today. Like I wrote, tomorrow I have to go to the hospital. I have an appointment with a surgeon because I have to undergo surgery in a few weeks. And therefore we will stop at 7:30. If you all could be in time tomorrow at 6, then we can 1 hour presentation and we can, without a pause, have 30 minutes questions. I hope that is okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna Prabhupada.